After all my recent articles dealing with current events, I thought it would be nice to take some time and discuss something different. It is said that you aren't tried by a jury of your peers, but by 12 people who could not get out of jury duty. Why do Americans hold such an important duty in such low regard? Well, let's take a look at why jury duty is so important, next on the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday Americans.
Hello there, everyday Americans. Paul Engel here with the Constitution Study, where we read and study the Constitution. We teach the rising generation to be free. I am glad you could join me. As always, please head to the website, constitutionstudy.com. So you can find out everything I'm working on here at the Constitution Study. You can find articles, you can find videos, you can find my podcast, you can find the store, books, classes, everything we're trying to do to help spread the message of liberty and the fact that we need to know our rights, and that the best way to do that is to actually read and study our Constitution. Then maybe we'll be able to defend them and assert them when they're under attack. Also, if you are in North Dakota, I'm going to be at Midwest Freedom Fest on August 8th. So if you're there, please stop by, say hello. I'd love to meet you in person. Yes, I'd be willing to shake your hand even in these days of COVID-19. Well, that is, maybe the police will come up and arrest me. But I'd love to see you there. I'd love to speak to you and your group, either over the internet or in person. So please, again, head to the website. You can do a speaker request. Let me know, is there an event that you think I might want to attend, or a place you would like me to speak? I'd love to try it. I really want to get back out and spend more time with these everyday Americans, with we the people, helping us all better understand our Constitution, our rights, and our liberties. And with that, let's talk a little bit here about jury duty. I know, jury duty is inconvenient. You have to take time away from work or family. You get to spend your day, or days in some cases, in a crowded room, and you're sitting in judgment of another human being. Is it any wonder there's a virtual market on creative ways to get out of it? See, as people come up with new and inventive ways of avoiding jury duty, governments pass laws to try to stop them. Now, not only is the trial itself an adversarial process, but the process of impaneling the jury has become one as well. But have you ever stopped to think just how important the right to a trial by jury is? From Webster's 1828 dictionary, jury is a noun, from the Latin to swear, a number of freeholders selected in the manner prescribed by law, impaneled and sworn to inquire into and try any matter of fact and to declare the truth on the evidence given them in the case. When you are called to serve on a jury, you are part of a group of people trying to determine the facts and truthfulness of evidence presented in the case. While it's the job of the prosecution to prove their case and the defense to disprove it, your job is to weigh the facts and evidence presented to you. Together, you and the other members of the jury literally have the future of the defendant in your hands. If that's not enough for you to stand up and do your duty with all the effort and skills you have, think about this. There may be a day when you are the one on trial, and when it is your future that is in the hands of a jury. Now, before you think to yourself that you are no criminal, recent studies claim that every American, on average, commits 3 federal felonies a day. Do you want your future determined by a group of people earnestly seeking justice, or just 12 people with nothing better to do? There are 2 types of juries in the American system, and they serve 2 very different purposes. From Webster's 1828 dictionary, grand juries consist usually of 24 freeholders at least, and are summoned to try matters alleged in indictments. So if you're called to serve on a grand jury, you're trying the matters alleged in an indictment. What is an indictment? Well, a noun, a written accusation or formal charge of a crime or misdemeanor preferred by a grand jury under oath to a court. That means that the state has to come to the people in the form of the grand jury to test the evidence of a charge before the accused is taken to trial. That means the people decide if the state has sufficient evidence for the charges against someone to go to trial. Now, according to the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, this process is necessary before someone can be charged with an infamous crime outside of the military. Quote, "No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in the cases arising in the land or naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger." While the use of the terms crime, misdemeanor, and trespass have morphed over the years, When our founding fathers wrote the Constitution, they had a specific set of meanings. Again, from Webster's dictionary, a crime denotes an offense or violation of public law of a deeper and more atrocious nature, a public wrong or a violation of the commands of God, and the offenses against the laws made to preserve the public rights, as treason, murder, robbery, theft, and arson, etc. The minor wrongs committed against individuals or private rights are denominated trespasses, and the minor wrongs against public rights are called misdemeanors. Crimes and misdemeanors are punishable by indictment, information, or public prosecution. Trespasses or private injuries at the suit of the individuals injured. See, today we think of criminal and civil court cases, and while criminal cases are further divided into felonies and misdemeanors. When our Constitution was written, the term crime meant a serious offense of public or natural law, or those laws made to preserve the rights of others. Minor offenses against the public were called misdemeanors, while those against individuals or private rights were called trespasses. Now, all of this is important because the U.S. Constitution only requires a grand jury for an indictment on an infamous crime. Rightly or wrongly, today, an infamous crime is referred to generally as a felony. Now, think about the saying, a good prosecutor can get a grand jury to indict a ham sandwich. Are the American people really so ignorant or naive that a decent prosecutor can get them to indict just about anyone on just about anything? I mean, sure, an indictment is not a conviction, but there is a serious cost to it. You must retain legal counsel, pay for evidence to be collected, retain expert witnesses, not to mention losing time away from work and family. If you can't afford this expense, you are at the mercy of a government employee who's just doing a job. Imagine yourself in that situation and ask, how important is it that the grand jury take its duty seriously? So when you serve in a grand jury, you are not just punching a clock and killing time. You are there to seek justice both for the accused and the accuser. If the American people cannot be bothered to fulfill this duty, then that part of the American legal system becomes a kangaroo court, where government can indict anyone they want, even a ham sandwich. Now, we have grand juries, but again, from Webster's dictionary, quote, petty juries, consisting usually of 12 men, attend courts to try matters of fact and civil causes, and to decide both the law and the fact in criminal prosecutions. The decision of a petty jury is called a verdict. Petty juries are called to serve in two different types of cases, civil and criminal. If we remember the quote from Webster's dictionary on crime, trespasses or private injuries are punishable at the suit of the individuals injured or by civil trials. Now, in a civil trial, an individual or group is petitioning the court as a part of the government for a redress of some grievance done to them. Civil cases are supposed to be between citizens alone. Again, from Webster's dictionary, civil is, quote, relating to the community or to the policy and government of the citizens and subjects of a state, as in the phrases civil rights, civil government, civil privileges, civil war, civil justice. It is opposed to criminal as a civil suit, a suit between citizens alone, whereas a criminal process is between the citizen and a state. Now, the fact that the government sue in civil courts for violations of public law is a topic for another day. The general idea is when a trespass or private injury occurs, the injured party can petition the court to try the case. And according to the Seventh Amendment, you almost always have a right to have your civil case tried by a jury. Quote, in suits of common law where the value in controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved. I say almost always because though it is possible to sue someone for a grievance worth less than $20, financially, it doesn't make much sense. See, there's also one other thing to notice, which is that the scope of a petty jury in a civil case is limited to the facts of the case. I believe this is because at the time, civil cases dealt with natural law rather than those passed by government. Since the laws of nature and nature's God are supposed to be beyond the review of man, no earthly judge has the authority to try them. Now, from the U.S. Constitution's Sixth Amendment, we read, quote, in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial by an impartial jury of the state and district where the crime shall have been committed. If the government charges you with a crime, you have the right not only to a speedy and public trial, but one by an impartial jury. In other words, the state cannot be both judge and jury. You have a right to be judged not by the person sitting high in the court, but by the regular citizens of the state and district where the alleged crime occurred. If we remember the role of jury as defined by Noah Webster, we see just how much power a jury has, quote, to decide both the law and the fact in criminal prosecutions. Juries in criminal trials are to decide both the law and the facts of the case before them. Now, if you served on a jury in a criminal case, no doubt the judge has told you that he or she is to judge the law, while you, as a member of the jury, are to judge the facts. As we now see, that is a lie. Juries are to decide both the law and the facts in criminal prosecutions. But why is that? See, remember, we the people created the states and through them established the federal government, each via their own constitution. Now, the Supremacy Clause of the U.S. Constitution says, quote, "This Constitution and the laws of the United States which shall be made in pursuance thereof, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding." So what happens if a judge in a case violates the Constitution of the United States? What if the prosecutor, who works either for the state or local government, violates the supreme law of the land? What if a legislature does? What is the ultimate check on bad government? It's the everyday people of a jury. We've seen numerous examples of illegal laws and regulations passing the legislatures of both the United States and of the several states. We've seen judges ignore their oaths and uphold these illegal laws. We've also seen judges supplant the law of the land with their own opinions, euphemistically called case law. What are the people to do? Well, among other things, to serve on juries. If you are serving on a jury and see an unjust prosecution, maybe the law is truly unjust, or the law is just being applied in an unjust manner, you have the duty to nullify the law in the case before you and vote for justice. You cannot be held liable for your decision in a jury. In fact, you have the right to vote anonymously in a jury. And guess what? If the judge doesn't like the verdict, there's nothing he or she can do about it. Again, from the Seventh Amendment, quote, "And no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States than according to the rules of common law." See, while jury duty is an inconvenience, it pales in the comparison to the duty we have as citizens to seek justice for our neighbors and to be a check on our own governments. As with so many other aspects of citizenship, the American people have lulled themselves into complacency and, through ignorance, have been derelict in their duties. It is time we, the people, return to our role of sovereign in this country. That includes more than just being engaged and choosing better people to act as public servants. It also means taking the solemn duty of serving on a jury seriously. You're not only determining the future of the individual in the case, but helping to set the course that our nation will take. Will you help point us towards justice, freedom, and liberty, or will you continue to set a course towards tyranny and despotism? Well, there you go, jury duty. I've been called for jury duty, and that's a whole other story. It's kind of funny, but have you been called for jury duty? And have you stopped to think how important it is that as a member of a jury, you have a duty to seek justice, to protect the rights of all involved? You're part of due process. You're part of the due process system. Why then do we try so hard to get out of this? I believe part of it is because we don't understand the importance the role of the jury has in a free republic. I think it's because many of us have become so self-centered that we don't think about protecting the rights and liberties and justice of others. I believe some of us are just busy and we can't see beyond our noses. But as we're looking at how we choose our politicians, we also need to reevaluate how we look at jury duty. We need to see it as more than just an inconvenience, something that you have to do. We need to see it as the opportunity to exercise sovereignty as citizens of this country, to seek justice for our neighbors, to hope that one day, if we are involved in a case, that whoever sits on that jury will seek justice just as vigorously, with just as much passion as we would seek it for ourselves. So the next time you get that summons in the mail, don't throw it away in disgust. Look at it as the opportunity, not just to do your civic duty, but your sovereign duty, your duty to make America a land of justice, where the rule of law leads, and where the people, once again, are in charge of their government. If you have a good jury duty story, hey, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'd love to hear it. Maybe one day I'll tell you mine. But most of all, I hope that you see now that jury duty is not something to be avoided. It's something to be engaged with passion. And I hope that passion will bring you back here next time for the Constitution Study.
There's one thing you have to know wherever you make your stand. Came from a long through line of everyday